If everyone can come on in and take a seat, there's always room for one more. Make yourselves comfortable. There's some refreshments. So good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Rebecca Weidensall, Assistant Vice President, Enrollment Management and Student Success, and the coordinator of the Office of Veteran Student Services at Drexel University. And on behalf of Drexel University, my colleagues on the Veterans Task Force, and especially the planning team for this event, Ralph DeLucia, University of Pennsylvania, Dr. Becky Helms, and Fern Billett from the Michael J. Crescenz VA Medical Center. Thank you for this event. Also, for all of the participants who are contributing to today's event, I can't wait to hear from all of you. Welcome. And I want to thank the LeBeau College of Business for hosting us today, their military-friendly administration, especially our interim provost, Paul Jensen, interim dean, Vibes Madan, Brian Ellis, Caitlin Brady, and Lisa Bogan. I'd also like to thank their events and tech team, Cassie Brown, Yasmin Mays, and Scott Lambert. I want to extend a special greeting to those of you who are watching live stream, and I apologize that there will be a timeout that will occur during the film due to the guidelines of filming and streaming. We ask your patience and understanding and hope that you'll rejoin us for the panel and debrief of this important film. The planning for this event started way back in February of 2019 when we were alerted about a noteworthy and award-winning documentary called The Journey Back to Normal. Ralph and I had a chance to meet with Nicole Emilio Casper and wanted to find a way to bring her film to Philadelphia veterans community and all of its supportive network. We also wanted to raise awareness about the emerging complementary therapies available to our military community. Many of our VSO partners are here with us today, and we appreciate all of you for what you do to help veterans in the Philadelphia region, and especially for student veterans. I also want to recognize our colleagues at the various colleges and universities in the region and thank them for rallying behind this event and being here with us today. Our network that brought us here today is such a force multiplier. We share information, resources, and promote each other's programs to help our veterans and their families. There are so many pathways to wellness, and we will all learn so much today and be inspired for sure. I'm reminded on this election day that we have the power and the privilege to choose every day. Thank you for choosing to be here in support of this important work to advance our knowledge and hopefully make a difference. Okay, as you can see from the slide, we do have a program timeline, and each of you do have that timeline at your seat. And now it gives me enormous pleasure to introduce my teammate for this event, Associate Director of the Office of Affirmative Action and Equal Opportunity Programs at the University of Pennsylvania, Ralph DeLucia. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone. It's an honor and privilege to be here. And I, too, want to thank the team for putting this event together and for all of you for coming to participate. It is my honor to introduce our opening speaker, Dr. John J. Kelly, Chief of Staff, Michael J. Crescenz VA Medical Center. Dr. John Kelly, MD, is board certified in both infectious diseases and internal medicine. He joined the Crescenz VAMC as Chief of Staff in July of 2017, after having served as Chief of Staff at Abington Jefferson Health Center. He joined the medical staff at Abington in 1983 as a consultant in the Infectious Diseases Division, and in 1985 was named Associate Director of the Internal Medicine Residency Program and became its director in 1990. He was also appointed chair of the Department of Medicine. Dr. Kelly has a strong interest and background in the science and practice of patient safety. In 2001, he was responsible for developing the first patient safety initiatives at Abington Hospital in response to the Institute for Healthcare's Improvement 100,000 Lives report. That year, he also assumed the title of Chief Patient Safety Officer. Dr. Kelly became Chief of Staff and Chief Medical Officer there in 2004. He has also served as principal investigator for numerous research trials. He is an invited lecturer on patient safety topics to both local and national audiences. Dr. Kelly is a graduate of Tufts University School of Medicine and received his MBA in Management and Healthcare Administration from LaSalle University. Dr. Kelly is a fellow of the American College of Physicians and a member of the American Society of Internal Medicine, the American Society of Microbiology, the Infectious Disease Society of America, and the Association of Program Directors of Internal Medicine. We are privileged and grateful to have Dr. Kelly with us here today. Would you please welcome Dr. John J. Kelly.
Thank you very much for that generous introduction. It's nice to get rolled out and dusted off periodically to join in our community. And the community that I really see myself as belonging to now is that of the veterans of the United States and the VA health system. I trained partly in the VA a long time ago in New Haven, and had a tremendous experience educationally and professionally growing from my care of veterans. And in my time since I've come back to the VA, I've been singularly impressed with the dedication of the so talented people that have chosen to work in the government health system, which is challenging at times, and these folks never let them bother because they're dedicated and focused on our veterans. And I think we've become much more sensitive, certainly over the trajectory of my career as a traditional physician, to understand that the injuries of war go far beyond those that are physical in nature, and that the behavioral impact, the mental health impact, the moral impact of war and combat on our colleagues, our fellow citizens, is great and was unintended too over many, many years. And I think the VA, thanks to the energies of many people, are awakening and gaining permission to pursue some of the alternative therapies that we will speak to this afternoon. And I think it's a very exciting time in the VA as we begin to understand how beneficial these alternative therapies can be, how we can make them increasingly available to our veterans. And over the past few months, I've had a very distinct pleasure of working with a very high energy, very organized person without whom our VA would not be where it is in terms of bringing to bear the fruit of what we call whole health, which you'll hear about in a few moments. This young woman is Dr. Rebecca Helms, who's been for many years the director and co-director of our health promotion and disease prevention program. But over, as I say, the last several months, she's taken on the additional responsibilities of another full-time job as the interim whole health director, and has energized it and brought it to life on our campus. And while we're still in the inaugural stages of this, we're making great progress. Dr. Helms is a clinical psychologist and completed her behavioral medicine internship, if you will, at the Miami VA, and so has been in the VA a very long time. She received her Doctor of Psychology at LaSalle University here in Philadelphia and continued her training at the Boston VA Medical Center. Dr. Helms has been at Crescenz VA Medical Center. For those of you who don't know this, Michael J. Crescenz is the singular Medal of Honor winner from Philadelphia during the Vietnam War, and it's a great honor to have our VA named after him. There are very few VAs in the country that actually bear someone's name. It's usually a geography. But shortly after coming to our behavioral health unit here at the hospital in the primary care mental health program, Becky joined the newly formed Health Promotion and Disease Prevention Program, and as I say, has been a leader in that for some time. She's active in the faculty psychology training program. She's very much a clinician educator, and she supervises both the health psychology intern and resident. Dr. Helms holds a clinical associate faculty appointment at the University of Pennsylvania and is a member of the American Psychology Association in the Division of Health Psychology. It's truly been really my great good fortune to have Becky leading our whole health program, and we know that it's going to be a very rich and most helpful program for our veterans. Dr. Helms.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome, Dr. Kelly. I really appreciate it, and it's certainly an honor to be here today. So as Dr. Kelly had mentioned, I'm here to talk with you about whole health, which is really a shift in the way that the VA is providing health care for veterans. So before discussing whole health and really what that is, I want to take a moment just to take a few steps back and provide some context in terms of why the VA is taking this new approach to health care. So we are facing a healthcare crisis in our nation. We spend close to 20% of the gross national product on healthcare, and we still have poor outcomes. So what we know is that a large part of this has to do with chronic health conditions. So in fact, there are 3 health behaviors, tobacco use, physical inactivity, and unhealthy food choices that are related to the development of 4 chronic conditions. And these include cardiovascular diseases, type 2 diabetes, chronic lung conditions, and several types of cancer, which we also know are responsible for roughly 50% of deaths worldwide. We also know that 75% of the healthcare costs are related to chronic health conditions. So the current healthcare model has not really engaged the patient or the veteran to optimize their health, self-care, and well-being. So what exactly is whole health? Whole health is part of the VA's modernization efforts. It's designed to empower and equip veterans with self-care skills that they can use to improve their overall health and well-being and live their life to the fullest. So this is really more than a program. It's a fundamental cultural shift in the way that the VA is providing care for veterans. And also it treats the whole person. So we're going from a disease-based model to a more personalized, proactive, and patient-driven model of care. And we're also taking a holistic approach versus an episodic approach. And we're also incorporating not only conventional medicine, but complementary and integrated health therapies as well. And another point to make here is that whole health really centers around what matters most to each veteran. Oh, the other point that I wanted to make too is that whole health really is a national initiative. Locally here, though, we are at the early stages of implementation. So the characteristics of whole health. This slide depicts the characteristics. I had mentioned them briefly before, but it's important to mention here and emphasize that these terms are distinct and really not synonymous with one another. So personalized. This is really looking at each individual person. Proactive. This is an expanded strategy from the way that many have been trained in medicine. So not only is it how are we going to treat disease, but also how are we going to help the body's innate healing response to be at its best. So considering things like making nutritional changes for your health or changing your body's reaction to stress. So again, it's extending beyond conventional care and really kind of going beyond that. And then patient-driven. So even if we create a personalized plan that's proactive, if we're not really starting with what matters most to each veteran and tying that to their health, the likelihood of engaging in healthcare is lower. So the whole health practice, this is really a shift in the conversation. It's a very patient-centered approach where we're focusing on strengths, motivation, and goals, and we're integrating that into clinical care. So we're going from the more traditional model and the provider-driven model, where often the question asked is, what's the matter? To a much more personalized and values-driven approach, where questions such as, what matters most to you, is really central to care. And this really allows providers to tie veterans' values to their health and can really serve as a motivator for making behavior change. To gain a greater understanding of whole health, listed on this slide is what we call the circle of health. This is really a fundamental tool in understanding whole health and really assists and provides context in creating what we call a personal health plan. So you'll see here that there are 4 key parts of the circle. You'll see that me is at the center of the circle. So this really accounts for each individual story and uniqueness. So again, it's kind of looking at what matters most to people, not just their symptoms. And me, you'll see, is surrounded by mindful awareness. So the idea here is that this really helps you focus on the present and what's most important to you. And then surrounding that are what we call the 8 circles of health or self-care. So the idea here is that each individual has the power to shape their own health. Even those that can't be cured can really find a deeper sense of meaning and purpose. And these can also be incorporated into someone's personal health plan, which I'll talk about momentarily. And then you'll see that the next ring here is professional care. So this is prevention and treatment of disease, so more of our conventional care, as well as use of complementary and integrated health approaches. And then finally, we have community. So this is where a person lives, works, and worships, and all the folks that someone is actually connected to. So all of these factors contribute to whole health. And if you work on one area of the circle or one part of the circle, most likely you'll improve other parts of the circle as well. So in thinking about the 8 areas of self-care that I had on the previous slide, what I'd like to do is first highlight here on the left-hand side of the slide, you'll see the services that we offer at our facility that are in line with whole health and considered complementary and integrated therapies. I would like to highlight a few that are listed here. So we offer things like yoga, Tai Chi, acupuncture, battlefield acupuncture, whole health education for chronic pain, and mindfulness. Then the right-hand side of this slide lists the 8 complementary and integrated health services that we are required to provide as part of the Veterans Medical Benefits Package. These services are required to be available to any veteran whose provider incorporates this into their treatment plan. These approaches have been vetted and have published evidence of promising or potential benefit. And then here are just a few examples of the in-house services that we offer and how they map onto the circle of health. So you'll see, for example, that for working the body, we offer, as I mentioned before, yoga and Tai Chi. For personal development, we offer what we call the Gateway to Healthy Living class, which is really designed for any veteran who's considering a health behavior change. For food and drink, we offer mood weight management services. And then for Power of the Mind, we offer mindfulness-based coping skills. And then listed here is what we call the Personal Health Inventory, or the PHI. And this is a brief version of a personal health plan, so I had mentioned that earlier. And this really allows healthcare providers to get at the heart of what matters most to each veteran. These questions really delve into the aspirations and desires, again, that would help to motivate somebody to want to continue on with their personal health plan recommendations. Of note, personal health planning really brings the whole health model together. And developing a personal health plan allows the provider and patient to not only focus on treatment, but also to empower and equip veterans to be mission ready for their lives. This tool gives a person the opportunity to reflect on where they are and where they'd like to be with the various components of health and well-being that I had mentioned before. And then whole health really emphasizes the importance of shared as opposed to prescribed goals. So goal setting is most effective and meaningful when the veteran guides the goal setting process rather than the provider prescribing solutions for the veteran. The provider is partnering with the veteran to set these shared goals and support what's most important to them. This approach is engaging and activating, both of which can be very successful in health behavior change. And again, this is a shared activity. So the veteran is the expert on themselves and what matters most to them, and the provider is the clinical expert. So together, they both kind of bring their expertise to the table and set meaningful goals that will hopefully result in long-term benefit for them. Also of note, the VA uses what we call SMART goal setting, or the SMART goal acronym. So this is setting goals that are specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-based. So veterans are identifying concrete, specific actions that they can take to improve their health. They're focused on behavior, not outcome, and starting small and building over time with a short, defined time frame. If veterans are interested in learning more about this approach to whole health, I encourage you to attend our whole health peer-led group. And we actually have our veteran peer who is in the audience today, and we'll be having a table. I certainly encourage you to stop by and learn a little bit more about this. But attending this group will really allow veterans to start the personal health planning process, which is really important to do. And transitioning service members, veterans, and family members are certainly welcome. I want to thank everybody for this opportunity to talk about whole health and this new approach to healthcare, and locally some of the services that we're offering.
How's everybody doing? My name is Michael Miller. I'm with the Warrior Writers Program here in Philadelphia. I'm going to share a poem with you guys today. I just need to ask one question. Do I have to use the microphone? Does it matter? Oh, okay. Because I'm pretty loud, so I just stepped out of the way. And so, the piece I'm going to share with you today is called Warrior. Was in the Marine Corps. A couple years ago, Christmas Day, had killed himself. And he was a really, really good friend of mine. But I got permission from his wife and everything before I shared it, so it's fine. So, if a warrior cries in the middle of the night and no one is around to hear him, does he make a sound? Who knew that a moment of silence could be so loud? Who knew that the darkest of loneliness could be found in a crowd of people who say that they care, yet too emotionally ill-equipped to handle with care the jagged edges of a warrior with no more missions, only crosses to bear? A warrior who cries out during nightmares, yet silent within the reality thrusted upon him without the proper tools to survive. The feeling is intrusive, like bullets trespassing through unsuspecting skin. Like sins of the father visited upon the son, and those footsteps in the darkness are catching up, you see. Warriors were never taught to run. We're taught to be oxymorons, walking dead. Sanity becomes a needless necessity when coming home labeled a hero against one's will. If a warrior kills for his country, then who do we hold accountable for the blood that is spilled? Just who do we hold accountable for the countless souls we are commissioned to steal? Just who do we hold accountable for the countless tears cried in the dark that sparked aggression imploding, self-loathing? The image leered upon with disdain through a toothpaste-stained mirror. You see, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, except for warriors labeled veterans through the eyes of we the people. So now I ask you, if a warrior loads his gun in the middle of the night and no one is around to hear, does he make a sound? When damaged to the point of no return, do we ignore the force and let the fire burn under the logic that the fire will eventually burn itself out? Well, insert warrior and take the word fire out. You see, there's a war going on. The battlefield is a place that we call home, and it's beyond me how we have so many casualties and closets full of bone and flesh. Somewhere, death almost feels like a warm bath and a phone call home. Where we're never left behind, we're only left alone in that empty abyss of thank you for your service. Left sitting in a waiting room to be put on pills. trying to convert to living life from kill or be killed. So I ask you, if a warrior shoots his gun in the middle of the night and no one is around to hear, when his body hits the floor, will it finally make a sound that this world can hear? You see, 7,403 vets commit suicide each year. That's one hero every 65 minutes. If you close your eyes tight and you listen real good, this time you just may hear it. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olivia McDonald. I'm one of the veteran students here at Drexel, and I would like to take this moment to introduce Nicole Emilio Casper, whose film we will be watching momentarily. Nicole Emilio Casper has her bachelor's degree in psychology from Boston College and her master's degree in journalism and public relations from the University of Memphis Graduate School of Journalism. She began her broadcasting career at National Public Radio, where she volunteered a couple days a week when her family moved to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, almost 20 years ago. Nicole's first paid position was with Cumulus Broadcasting in Fayetteville, North Carolina, followed by Saga Communications in Clarksville, Tennessee, while family was stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. While working at Saga, she was a segment producer, on-air talent, and news reporter. She also interviewed key figures in the community at Fort Campbell, including the mayor of Clarksville and Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn during her visit to support the troops and their families. She continued her broadcasting journey at American Forces Network in Mannheim, Germany, where she worked as a radio news reporter, interviewing key people overseas as well as in Germany. While in AFN, she expanded her skill set to include TV segment production. After producing several radio and TV stories for AFN and some commercials, she became more passionate about producing stories that highlight how the human spirit will triumph in the midst of adversity. While at AFN, Nicole received her first award as an AFN Civilian Award. In addition to her journalistic pursuits, she worked for Central Carolina Community College for nearly 5 years. Nicole taught video production, worked in admissions, taught college and pre-college courses for the TRIO Veterans Upward Bound program, and also taught public relations, advertising, and several other classes at Baker University. While at Fort Leavenworth, she started her LLC and produced her first of 2 documentaries, Voices of Hope. She filmed, directed, and produced Voices of Hope while she was volunteering at Lansing Prison in Lansing, Kansas. The film chronicles the Brothers in Blue re-entry program at Lansing Correctional Facility. The film documents how the program changes the behavior and redefines the character of the inmates. It was screened at 2 film festivals in Kansas City area in 2015 and 2016. Between 2016 and 2018, she filmed, directed, and produced her second documentary, The Journey Back to Normal, a look at complementary therapies to combat PTSD. The premiere screening was at George R.R. Martin Jean Carteau's Theater in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It has also been screened at several universities and colleges, as well as the largest VFW in Virginia. It was accepted and screened at several film festivals over the past year. Her film was a finalist at the Deep Focus Film Festival and the Dumbo Film Festival in New York City. So far, The Journey Back to Normal has won a Spotlight Documentary Award from the Spotlight Documentary Festival in Atlanta, Georgia. It has also received 3 Best Documentary Awards to include the Universal Kansas International Film Festival in Kansas City, the Raleigh Film and Arts Festival in Raleigh, North Carolina, the Show Low Arizona Film Festival. Most recently, it has been nominated as for a Best Documentary Award in the International Kansas Film Festival in Kansas this weekend. Nicole has 2 documentary projects slated for 2020. She is currently a freelance producer for ABC, New National, Good Morning America, and World News Tonight, working on breaking news and ongoing stories in the New Jersey area. She also assists with fundraising as a grant writer for Haven Women on Baltimore Ave and all-female veterans home. Please give a warm welcome to Nicole Emilio Casper.
Thank you so much, Olivia, and thank you so much for your service to our country. I just wanted to say thank you so much to Drexel University and the team that coordinated this event to really make it a special one. And also my team who helped me on this film. I couldn't have done it alone. I have a team in Kansas City and in this area, and they dedicated their time and their skills and their talents to help me produce this film, and I'm forever grateful. So before I begin my speech about why I produced this documentary, I want to assure you that this is a very positive film. It offers hope to those who may have no hope who are looking for answers. Many people have seen it over the past 12 months in the civilian community, colleges and universities, and in the military and veteran community. And the common reaction, again, is one of hope. This film offers hope for those who may have no hope, and it offers a glimpse of a second life our heroes so deserve. So here's my story. I spent over 2 decades traveling with my family in the military. I did not come from a military family, and I really had no idea what a military life would entail until my husband joined. Chris joined the Army in 1997 so that we wouldn't have to live in a tiny box in New York City as we were paying off college loans from NYU. The Army had a program called the College Repayment Program. Chris would go on to serve 4 years in the Army, and the Army would pay off his college loans in that 4-year time period. After the college debt was paid, our plan was to move back to New York City after his commitment to the Army. Excuse me. We viewed it as an adventure, really, as we left New York City to move north to Fort Drum. We loved to travel, and we had many years of adventures, exploring many cities, states, and countries, while my husband served for 20 years. We met some amazing people over the years, created some great friendships, and lifelong relationships. When 9/11 happened, obviously everything changed. Chris was told his commitment to the Army did not end after all, like many others, understandably so. From 2003 to 2013, many of my friends, spouses, and family deployed multiple times. When they returned home after a long deployment, there were obvious changes, and in turn, our military community changed. Our reality changed. The reality of war inside their minds was their new reality, and the reality that once was home was changed forever. A common challenge was this. When they came home, they wanted to be overseas, fulfilling their purpose, and to serve with their brothers. And then when they were overseas, they wanted to be home and struggled, with the actual purpose in the fight against terror. We all had to navigate this reality. Some marriages strengthened and families grew stronger as they healed together from PTSD and began the process of reconnecting as a family. But then some marriages ended, some came home seeking help, and then some did not. Some over-medicated, and some sadly and tragically ended their lives. It really hit home for me several years ago when one of my best friends in North Carolina told me she had PTSD. She served in the Army for 24 years. She told me every single detail of her trauma from the moment it occurred to what she copes with every day. She also told me she took medication and regularly went to see a psychiatrist at the VA at Fort Bragg. She told me she stopped taking the medication because of the negative side effects. And talk therapy was somewhat effective, but canine therapy provided more therapy than that did. My heart just went out to her, and I wanted to help her and others in that very moment. And her story was not the only story I heard in the past 18 years. When we moved from Fort Bragg to Fort Leavenworth, I wanted to find answers to this problem that was not going away anytime soon. I felt compelled to film a documentary that would explore different therapies to heal veterans with PTSD. In 2016, I started connecting with nonprofits that offered equine, canine, outdoor recreation therapy, and one other therapy in the Kansas City area. When I shared my vision with the directors, they were on board immediately. The film documents how these therapies can aid in the healing process in a holistic way, and it shows how these community heroes step in and step up to help our warriors in their hour of need. And as I mentioned earlier, testimonies shared in the film are focused on positive experiences rather than their past trauma. I filmed at 4 nonprofit organizations founded by veterans and families who were connected in some way to the military and the veteran community, so they truly understood. They got it. These outstanding nonprofits are Camp Valor Outdoors, now in 18 states across the country, and still growing. Horses and Heroes, Warrior's Best Friend, and Equiteam Support Services, which is about a hop, skip, and a jump outside of Philadelphia. Our goal is to educate and enlighten the public about these therapies so veterans and their families can heal in the way they need to heal, and in turn, they can be empowered to live their lives the way they should live it and have that second life they so deserve. I have one disclaimer before we watch the film. There are a couple of segments that may be uncomfortable for you, so please don't feel badly if you have to leave. We will completely understand. There are some statistics woven into the film as well that are a bit overwhelming, but I just want to prepare you and give you those options for self-care. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you The Journey Back to Normal. As soon as I change the slide.
So thank you, Nicole. This is a true gift and a triumph. Okay. So we're going to take a short break, and it is now about 10 to 3. So what we will do is we'll reconvene. We're going to get all the lights on again. 3 o'clock, we're going to have an experience with one of these complementary therapies, compliments of Marcus Carbo. So stretch your legs, grab some popcorn. We'll be going live again in a few short moments, and we'll catch you back here at 3 o'clock. Okay, great. Welcome back, everyone. And if you are watching live, we appreciate you hanging in there. We're sorry that you could not join the actual film because of the restrictions of filming and streaming. But we are moving into the second part of this awesome program today. And I'd just like to reintroduce you to Dr. Rebecca Helms from the VA. Becky.
Thank you. So I certainly have the pleasure right now to introduce Marcus Carbo. He is a 6-year Army veteran with deployments in Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Marcus is well known at our facility as he established our Tai Chi program, and he served as our Tai Chi instructor for the last 3 years. Recently, he was appointed as the Tai Chi National Liaison for the VA Community Care Network's Tai Chi for Veterans. Marcus is a veteran advocate, peer coach, and he is highlighted in the docu-short titled Be Like Water in the National TakeCare.org Wellness Campaign. It's an honor to introduce Marcus today as he leads us in a demonstration this afternoon.
I promise you I am not that fancy. So with me today is Shane Rose and Arlette Twersky, who are some of the top instructors for Tai Chi here in Philadelphia and of my own school. So they're going to help us actually lead. Yes, give them a hand. They put up a way too much for me. All right, so as we're going through today, if you get lost watching me, you can follow them. They're better than I am. That's really the key, right? I just have the microphone. So today, as we go through Tai Chi, what I want you to keep in mind is that you are not here to memorize anything. You're not here to learn anything. You are simply here to follow along. That's it. So as we go through these steps, what I want you to remember is 3 little words. If I go this way and you go that way, I don't care. All right? I don't care. If you get it perfectly right, I still don't care because they pay me either way. We're getting paid, right? No. All right. All right, so everybody stand up. Join me. Make sure you have plenty of space between you and your buddies here. All right, so stretch out nice and wide, nice and wide, nice and wide, nice and wide, nice and wide. A little wider. And watch my fancy cameraman right there in the center. And from here, what I want you to do is just relax. And we're going to let those arms float back up, float back up, float back up. And then relax as we come down. And then take a deep breath in. And let that breath go. Let it go, let it go. Let's do one more. Breathe in. And let it sink. And as we sink, let's take a step out here. We're just going to shift. We're just going to shift from one side to the next. Nothing too crazy. Relax the spine. Relax everything. Imagine your body like water, just drifting from one side to the other. I like the way this microphone makes my voice sound, actually. Use that radio voice. All right, as we're moving here, what we want to do is do a little thing called sinking the chi. So let's take the hands. We're going to float them up to the side here and just float them out in front over the heart and relax them down. Now, I want you to imagine a big cloud of steam in front. We're going to grab that cloud, feed it into the heart, and relax it back down. Very nice. And then breathe in once more. And relax. Now let's take those hands. We're going to float them right in front. Call it opening the door here, and just let them float down as if you were lifting the sheet off your mattress and then gently laying it back down perfectly, just like Mom used to do, right? And then we'll float it up one more time, sinking. And this time, as those hands float up, we're going to embrace the big tree. So grab a tree, open up nice and wide, and then sink back down. And then breathe in. And sink back in. And one more. Now this time, as we open up, take that hand, this one right over here, bring it all the way up. Take this hand over here, bring it all the way down, and we're going to embrace the moon. So let's open up and switch. And it just so happens I have a moon on my shirt today. So let's float that. That was not by design, I don't think. All right. And let's float it up once more. Very nice. Excellent. Now, these are the basic postures of Tai Chi, our transitional postures. Don't forget these. We're going to use them right now here. So as the arms come out, let's embrace that tree once more. Embrace it, embrace it, embrace it. And sink those hands down. I want you to shift your weight over, and we're going to tap our heel off to the side. And then we'll bring it back, shifting over. Tap the heel. Good. And let's try that again. Gentle, gentle tap. Boom, right there. And then one more. Tap to the heel. You're getting into it. I like that. Let's get the other hand. Press that hand out. And bring it back. And let's use that other hand. Press it out. And we'll go again. Absolutely. I'm hearing some I don't cares in the crowd already. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's get both hands involved here as we play the pipa. Chinese instrument called the pipa. Looks very similar to a lute or a guitar. And as the hands come down, you can see yourself playing the strings like a big bass here. Excellent. All right, on this next one, we're going to embrace the moon once more. So let's step in and embrace the moon. And let's shift and embrace. And shift once more. Good, good, good. And once more. All right. On this next one, we're going to take a step right out. Gentle step here. And just shift forward. Hold that moon for a second. And come back. And let's hold the moon. And come back and hold the moon. Excellent. Now take that bottom hand and like tossing a frisbee. Just throw it out there. And bring it back to the bottom of your moon. And toss it out. And bring it back. And toss it out. Now this top hand, as if you were playing with a yo-yo, drop the yo-yo. Bring that yo-yo back. And drop it. Bring it back. Let's do one more. All right, let's embrace that moon. Step on back. And spin your moon once more. We'll do the same thing. Other side. Just hold that moon at first. And we come back and hold it. And bring it back and hold it. All right, use that bottom hand. Toss your frisbee out. And bring it back. Feel free to use or make any sound effect you like. All right. There we go. All right, let's play our yo-yo now. Drop the yo-yo. Bring it back. Drop it. And bring it back. Good. And drop it. Bring it back. All right, let's flatten those hands here and step back. We're going to shift and play the pipa. Oh, look at that. Let's do it one more time over to the other side. All right, let's embrace that moon once more. We're going to embrace, step out, and part the wild horse's mane. Let's come on back. Step out again. And part. Now be aware of your chairs and your surroundings. Don't step on your partner unless they deserve it. As you come back. All right, let's flatten those hands again. Bring them down. We're going to shift and play the pipa. Excellent. Now there's one more combo that I want to show you guys today. But before that, I really love part of the mane. So let's do that one more time. As we embrace the moon, step on out and part and bring it back. Let's spin that moon, step out and part. Excellent. Bring them back and let's play the pipa. Good, 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 good. How we doing? Tai Chi Masters, right? Nice. I like it. All right, let's embrace that big tree. This is everyone's favorite because it's the one everyone remembers. Breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. And let's do one more. All right, so over here on this side, let's scoop underneath. We're going to scoop underneath. Hide that other hand. Just hide it. We're going to turn at the waist. And then let it go. And scoop, scoop, scoop. bringing it up, and let's toss it out once more. So as if you were picking up some pumpkin seeds here, and then casting them out into the field. All right, so as we come down, release that other hand, just let it follow. We're going to take this hand, hide it. Other hand comes up. And we float and sink. So notice this full body here. So moving through the legs, through the waist. Very nice. Now don't forget to breathe here. So as we come up, let's release that other hand and just float. Now exchange and float. And we'll exchange and float. 4, wave hands like clouds. You can breathe in here, breathe out. And as if your breath was the wind and your hands the clouds, allow them just to float back and forth. All right, so on this one, we're going to get a little fancy here as we step over. I want you to make a little empty fist here as we step in. We're going to step out, open, nice and wide, and bring it in, open, nice and wide, and breathe in, nice and wide, and one more. Excellent. Let's bring that hand down. I lie a lot, so open. All right, what we're going to do here, take this backhand, bring it forward, and grab your clouds. And feel free to take a step in if you'd like. And here we go. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Empty fist here. Step on out. Single whip and come on down. Come on down. Open up nice and wide. Breathe in. Breathe out. And one more. All right. Take that back hand. Bring it forward and grab your clouds as we float. Stepping in. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to add our step here. So as we float over, 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 empty fist. Step in, step out. Single whip, and we'll step back. Step out. Single whip. Good. Very kung fu-like move here. All right, and one more. All right, now take that extended hand, bring it back, bring it back. It's going to circle around and through and circle back and through like a second hand on the clock. Excellent. Last one here. All right, take that back hand, bring it forward, grab your clouds and float. And we'll bring that foot in. Feel free to take as many steps as you like. As we grab that empty fist, stepping in, step out, single whip, same thing, float that hand back, and through, and bring it back, and through, like threading a needle, up and over, under, and then popping out the other side. All right, let's bring that hand down, step in, step out. Single whip, circle it back. All right, let's do one more. Bring it in. Step out. Single whip. Let's go forward. Grab your clouds and float. All right, I sense fancy. People want real fancy in the room, right? Okay, we can do that. So let's shift our weight over, over, over. Empty fist once more. We're going to open nice and wide. Now this time as we come back, I want you to sink, 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 sink. And float, float, float. Sink, 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 sink. Float, float, float. Sink, float. And sink. I miss my calling, I'm telling you. And float. All right, we're going to go all the way through for snake. Creeps down. Bring it back, sink in, and pull through. Let's go again. Just holding a tea bag over the saucer over here. We come down. Let's take that back hand, bring it forward, grab your clouds, and float. Excellent, and we'll exchange. Let's try it on the other side. Step in, open up, single whip. Come on back and sink and float. Sink. Shane, I think I'm stuck. We come up and we go down and up one more. All right, snake creeps down the other side. Bring it in and bring it out and through. Very nice. Just one big circle here. Last one. All right, bring that backhand forward. Grab your clouds and float. All right, so we're going to put that whole combo together here. We're going to do it twice through on each side, right? Don't worry, don't worry. I'm definitely hearing a lot of I don't care out there now. All right, empty fist. Let's step in. Step out nice and wide. Bring it back. Sink it down and through. Backhand forward. Grab your clouds and float. And we'll shift. Same thing. Step on in. Open up nice and wide. Bring it back. Sink it down. And float through. Bring your backhand forward. Oh, you guys are Tai Chi masters here today. Very good. All right, let's do it one more time. Give it all you got. This is the end here. Step in. Step out nice and wide. Get nice and low. And bring it forward. And we'll float. Got to do it for the cheap seats, people. All right, step in, big and wide, this time nice and open. Bring it back nice and low. Excellent, bring it forward. And float. Take your time with that one, don't rush it. All right, as the hands come up, let's embrace the big tree. Bring it back in front, take a deep breath in. And release. Deep breath in. Release. And again. Excellent. And as those hands come forward, let's drop them down. Drop them down. Little triangle here, just rising up. We're going to rub the Buddha's belly here. As we come down and breathe in. Breathe out. And on this, we're going to push out, pushing out, pushing out, pushing out as hard as you can. Push out further, 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 giving what you've got, everything inside, so more can come back to you. And relax it down. Shake it out. But, yeah. Oh, that's all. He wanted to know if that's all I got. We're going to learn the backflip next. So yeah, Tai Chi has been a game changer for a lot of veterans, myself included. I know that when I came to Tai Chi, I was pretty much a veteran cliche. Alcoholic, divorced, and unemployable, period. And I was about 240 pounds when I started. I've lost a little weight since then. But what I found about Tai Chi is that, what were you thinking about while you were doing all that? Nothing. That's right. It's a moving meditation that just, it hits on all the cylinders, right? Hypervigilant, well, you're worried about all of this, but what you're not worried about is all that out there. And doing that enough times, we actually start to change how the brain operates. You start building new synaptic pathways to combat the old ones, right? And so we get that moment of respite, if you will. Now, I'm really out of breath here. That's a lot of talk, wasn't it? Yeah. So I want to thank Dr. Helms for having me out today and really being a huge supporter of our program. It's been great to work with Philly and to give this gift back to veterans, and we look forward to serving the entire country now, offering free Tai Chi to veterans coast to coast through the Community Care Network. So look for more information at our table and at your, actually it's on the VA website, so that's pretty cool too. All right, good stuff. Thank you all once again, and have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Wow, what a program. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We're going to be transitioning right now to bring our panelists forward, carefully moving the chairs and getting ready for a debrief of the film and to learn more about some of the complementary therapies that are happening in our region. So give us a moment.
Begin our panel discussion. I'm going to ask first each panelist to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, your organization, who you represent, your mission. Introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about your organization, who you are, who you represent, your mission and goals, and how you got involved with Veterans Organization and supporting veterans. So we'll start right here.
Oh.
Yeah, because you're closest. So.
Oh, yay. Well, I'm Ellie Williams. I think you saw on the film earlier the wonderful film by Nicole. I'm the executive director with Echo Team Support Services, and we've been in operation for about 13 years doing equine-assisted psychotherapy, and that's the primary modality that we use. A lot of times the equine therapy is used in conjunction with traditional therapies, but we just went all out and just went straight for the equine therapy. We work a lot with combat trauma. We also work a lot with developmental trauma as well. Our mission is to find emotional and behavioral stability within our clientele through the use of the horses in the Agala model. And what else did I need to ask or say?
How you got involved?
Oh, how we got involved. So I started through working with at-risk youth and families in need. My ex-husband was a Marine Corps veteran, and Katie, as you also saw in the film, her significant other is a combat veteran as well. And we decided that we were working with developmental trauma and complex trauma with our children and at-risk youth. And we were like, well, if we're doing this with the kiddos, we need to do this with our military as well, and with our veteran population. So we expanded and created a military division within our organization.
Hello, my name is Michael Miller. I am a 15-year veteran, 8 years Marine Corps, 7 years Army. I work with the organization called the Warrior Riders. I actually got involved with the Warrior Riders through coming home from a my last deployment in Afghanistan, I got blown up, so I had traumatic brain injury. I had post-traumatic stress disorder and all. And I pretty much wrote throughout my life, so I was always a writer. So my therapist for anger management knew that the Warrior Writers was in existence, and she said it might be a good pairing. So I went over, and I guess I felt more comfortable there just because it was more veterans, and you know, pretty much like you get out and it's kind of like you lose your tribe in a way. The people that you're used to waking up with every morning, the people that you're used to going through your days with, completing your daily tasks with and all. And going into the Warrior Writers was kind of like getting that back in a way. As the gentleman said in the film, understanding, you know, your lingo, your kind of sixth sense of humor sometimes that other people might not really get, but you do, and you don't really mean any offense, but, you know, that's pretty much it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Sherry Goodell. I am a board-certified dance movement therapist, a national certified counselor, and a licensed professional counselor here in Pennsylvania. I'm a clinical professor and chairperson of Drexel's Department of Creative Arts Therapies. We are part of Drexel's College of Nursing and Health Professions. We have been educating professional mental health specialists in art therapy, music therapy, and dance movement therapy disciplines since 1974 here at this institution. In 2010, we opened our PhD program, and that brought us formally into relationship with some of the really exciting work going on nationally, connected initially with the National Initiative for Arts and Health in the Military, and then more recently with some of the research projects that we're doing that I will reference in the next question. I am not a veteran myself, and I am very honored to be here today with those of you who have served our country. What distinguishes the creative arts therapies in the spectrum of mental health services is not with whom we do the work, but how we do the work. And that is that we do the work of psychotherapy and counseling through the use of the arts. We work with many populations, not only veterans and active military service personnel, but across the spectrum. So I think that's enough of an introduction for now. Oh, I'll say more about me. Sorry. The creative arts therapies are very much part of the complementary and integrative health spectrum. The forerunner to the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, which was the NIH Office of Alternative Medicine, has been funding creative arts therapies research since it opened in 1992. So this is also a relationship that I have with complementary therapies. I was one of their earliest researchers. My own PhD is in medical psychology and mind-body studies, which has moved our work very much into the complementary and integrative health spectrum.
Hi, I'm Nicole Amelia Casper again, and I'm currently involved with the Haven Women. It's an all-female veterans home on Baltimore Avenue, and I was tasked to fundraise and also do some outreach for them as well. So I am connecting with partners in the community, or potential partners, to help out at Haven Women. I am also talking to the women. They're just amazing. They're so strong, and just because they're having some challenges, I don't think that they don't deserve help. And I feel as though, what I've seen anyway, they are being empowered, and it's a process for everyone, and it just takes time. And I do believe that they can benefit from complementary therapies as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Felicia Zimmer, and I'm an advanced practice nurse. Currently, I am coordinating a Wednesday wellness group, which does focus on holistic services to veterans who have diagnoses of serious mental illness. So I'd like to thank Nicole for her wonderful film, and Rebecca for inviting me to be a part of this. So the mission of the VA is to serve him who has borne the battle, and we can translate that into those who have borne the battle now, because we do have many women veterans who suffer just as much from PTSD and other problems. And to extend the services to their families and survivors. Part of the VA strategy, 2018 to 2024, is to integrate holistic services into care for veterans and to encourage veterans to really develop a better quality of life and to give them the means to enable them to do that. The population that I work with is veterans who have been diagnosed with a group of diagnoses, serious mental illness, and that encompasses mood disorders as well as schizophrenia and PTSD. So we have a whole spectrum of challenges. The beauty of this is that I get to take this a little bit beyond treatment and therapy, because that's not what we provide in my program. We go out into the community, and as the gentleman said who was in the film, he mentioned Horses for Heroes was one of the programs, and they felt that the veteran community was a strong support for the veterans because it developed camaraderie and sort of a basis for them to really experience healing in a group of veterans. And they said, I specifically wanted to point out that he mentioned that this doesn't exist in the community. Well, that hasn't been my experience, because we have taken our veterans out into the community. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the other questions. So thank you again for having us here.
Nobody wanted my mic. So I'm Marcus Julian Carbo, and I am the reason you're happy to be sitting right now. I'm the founder of Tai Chi with Marcus, aptly named by Shane, no less. And we have been a regional force in Philadelphia to help really anybody enjoy the art of Tai Chi, but mostly veteran focused. And for the last 3 years, we've been training veterans at the VAMC down the street here. It's been an absolute honor, and it's been a lot of fun, actually. I'm involved with veterans because I'm not just a provider, I'm also a client. And this, for me, Tai Chi really kind of changed things. And at my lowest points, I always realized that I had stepped away from my practice. And every time I got back to my practice, the sun rose a little higher again. And so I got to a point at one moment where I decided the thing that helps me should become the thing that I do. And the very first thing I did was reach out to the VA and see if they wanted a volunteer Tai Chi instructor who was sort of meandering his way through the business world. And they were more than happy to sign me up. And we've had an amazing opportunity. We have a class that's normally anywhere from 18 to 25 veterans per week. And they are some loyal people, I have to tell you. And they're coming along great. There is now that camaraderie that we have week in and week out where, yeah, we're all sort of, it's like basic training all over again, except without the yelling and the screaming. Because we're all learning, we're all struggling to get this art, this ancient art down. And as we do that, we bond. And again, like you were saying, we speak the same language, we know the same lingo, and it turns out not a lot has changed since Vietnam or Korea. It's all kind of the same. So it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure, and I'm happy to be up on stage with you guys.
Great, fantastic first answers. Michael, I think we'll start with you and we'll work around this way. Second question, if you will, share one particularly important project that you have completed or are working on that supports veterans and their wellness.
Well, on Veterans Day coming up, I guess this would be a project that I'm working on. The Warrior Writers is teaming up with the Kimmel Center, and we're doing a project called, let me try and get this right, Traveling Outside of the Wire. And so it's veterans from this area, but also from, I think, Boston, New York. It's a lot of people coming in. It's a whole wellness weekend that's being worked on. And Yeah, I kind of get lost sometimes when I'm talking, but it's like a whole wellness weekend that we're working on. And I really feel that writing actually helps tremendously in expressing a lot of things to people who may not automatically get it. A lot of times during conversation, things kind of get lost in translation. But when you have an opportunity to sit, to write out something, to really have your thoughts well planned out, and you get to turn around and share that with people, because all the time you don't get to say, oh man, I messed up, or you might say something and offend somebody right away, because as I said earlier, the languages are so different. I'm appreciating this project because it actually allows for the veteran to really control the narrative of what's going on in their life, how they perceive things, how they feel things, and for the most part, I think that our narrative is, our voice is often taken away when Hollywood does movies and everything. I shared earlier that when I came from Afghanistan, one of my younger daughters was like, oh, my friend told me you were going to go crazy. But it's kind of like the narrative that you see in movies, and even if the veteran is the hero, he's shooting down and kicking in doors, and you know, it just feels nice to be able to have a project like this that enables you to focus on what's important in your life and the obstacles you may face and the way that you get around them. It is a really good form of therapy. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go this way. Thank you. I'm here representing our department today, so I'll speak about some projects that are going on in the department. And this is research that is funded. I have a little prop here to show you because this is really fun. This is from Creative Forces, the National Endowment for the Arts, Military Healing Arts Network. So we have projects going on in our department in collaboration with the National Intrepid Center of Excellence. Now that is typically care, intensive care for active military service members, but also with the Walter Reed National Military Health Center and several of the VAs across the country. One of the projects is on music therapy to address pain, a non-pharmaceutical approach to pain control, of course. Another has been a program evaluation of a really interesting art therapy program at the NICO Intrepid Center of Excellence, and that is a mask-making program that has been part of that treatment plan for several years. These are studies by Drs. Khadija Kamal and Dr. Yoka Brat here at Drexel in our department. And very recently, I have myself been involved in a research planning project together with this Creative Forces team on planning dance movement therapy research for this very same project. So some of the things going on more at the national level.
I do have something to add to what you were saying. When I was out in the Midwest, I spoke to somebody at another screening, and they had were giving guitars away all over the country specifically for music therapy, and obviously to hand them over to veterans. So that's an amazing therapeutic process. So at Haven Women, we're trying to institute a program called the Peer Support Specialist Program. So as the women are transitioning out of the house, they have that extra support as they're transitioning. So it's kind of that step further. It's kind of that motivational person to make sure that they're successful. And it increases the chance of success, so they may not have a family member or a friend to really check in with them once or twice a week, or take them to, say, an educational center to, go to, maybe sign up for college classes or something like that. So a peer support specialist would be amazing for these women. And then in terms of another documentary, we may be, creating another film in terms of promoting more complementary therapies.
I got one. I'll keep it on microphone. Okay. The most recent project that I have is with the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and it's called Veterans Empowered Through Art. And I happen to have 3 veterans here who, if you'd like to stand up and take a vow, we'd all like to wish you Happy Veterans Day. Keith Alchemy, Sophie Pride, and David Allen. Thank you. My veterans are part of a program with the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and it's a program that has been in existence for quite a few years, probably, I think, 6 or 7 years now. So it's in development. It started out because one of my veterans had a goal to connect with the arts, and there is an accessible program there run by Marissa Clark, and we attended that. And because Marissa had a thought to develop a program for veterans, by veterans, she used that as a jumping off point to start with the focus group. And from there, I can just tell you the short version is that now we have a docent training program with the Philadelphia Museum of Art. They have trained our veterans to be veteran docents, and our veteran docents take other groups of veterans through. And they explain how they connect to select pieces of art that they have chosen after experiencing a year's worth of tours and art education through the Museum of Art. It was a wonderful program, and we're very happy to have been a part of it. But not only that, but it's a multi-level program, because they also invite us to participate weekly in PMA Art Day and special exhibitions and special art-making creative workshops. So it's really a wonderful experience. The next tour will be on the 13th, and that will be our veterans guiding other veterans through. But what's very interesting in that Marissa also applied for and received a really wonderful grant from NEA, that's the National Endowment for the Arts, for her program, and she also now is able to expand it to incorporate more docents. So our docents actually are receiving payment for this now, and which is very validating for them to do that. And they also get to share their experience of how art impacts them emotionally, socially, and interpersonally. It has a very beneficial effect. So that's about it. That's the latest project that I have. And how you can support that, I think is that the next question, or should I answer that now?
Wait for the next. Well, answer that now.
Okay, so how people can support that, it is going to be expanded into a members-only tour. So it will be available to the general public. Our veterans will guide members only. So if you don't have your art museum membership, make sure you go out and get it, and you can support the program that way. Okay, that's it.
So the big project, obviously, that we're working on is with the VA's Community Care Network, or the CCN, to provide Tai Chi to all veterans in the community, coast to coast. And in Tai Chi, there's the idea that the soft overcomes the hard. And I've never needed that more than when dealing with the VA and a federal agency. But to be honest, as big of a project as that is, and it really is, the biggest accomplishment that I think we've made is in 2017, we hosted the World Tai Chi Day for Philadelphia. And for the first time, I had veterans from all over the region who had never met each other, who had never seen each other or been in the same class. And they all lined up and they started to do the same thing once again. And it was as if, and ask any vet, no matter what unit you go to, no matter where you go in the world, it's the same thing and you fit right in. And it was amazing to bring that back to the community. And it was very humbling as well. And as all these things are going on, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is happening. This is happening, and this community has only grown. So I can't take credit for the big projects that we're doing and all, because that community, that built itself. And now we have peer partnerships and we have peer counselors, not officially, of course, but people that are checking up on other people. Their missions have now become each other in very much the same way. And that has been amazing to watch cultured in and around Tai Tai Chi. So all big projects aside, I think that's been the biggest thing thus far. Yeah.
Next questioning. May we start with Dr. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, of course.
Just because I'm not from the area, you're
No,
leaving me out.
I'm looking at Marcus and just say that's the end.
I'll be really quick. We live a couple hours from here, and we have a horse farm, and you got to see Katie on the film. So one thing we're working on, and it's in the early stages, but we really want to do as with a military and veteran wellness center, basically having a really large farm. We have Katie's significant other and herself have a lovely farm. It's about 35 acres. It has a pond. And basically, we want to set up an environment where anybody can go. They can fish. They can shoot. They can basically taking everything from Nicole's film and putting it in one place. Having the opportunity to do the equine therapy, having groups, having support groups that we can have there as well, and people that can come and just enjoy. So, all right, now you can go to the next one.
Thank you.
How do you give to that? Do you fundraising for that?
We haven't got that far yet.
Next question, and we'll start with Dr. Goodell. What has surprised you about your work, or perhaps something you hadn't expected in your work, and what impact has it had on the veterans community you serve?
Thank you. One of the most delightful surprises out of the work we've been doing the past several years in our national and other discussions has been that you can say National Endowment of the Arts and Department of Defense in the same sentence. This is really, right? Right? I mean, these are parts of our society that, one would think ne'er the twain shall meet, and yet what I have learned is that our federal government is really interested in investing and learning about how the arts and the creative arts therapies can be of service to those who serve. And that has been a very exciting aspect of this work, and I think it gives us a chance at really making a difference.
I don't think this had to do with my documentary at all, but this is recent news. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of this, but the VA recently awarded $1.5 million to equine-assisted therapy organizations, specifically for veterans, and $13.3 million was awarded to adaptive sports programs. So 11,000 veterans will benefit from that. So of course, the goal is to expand those funds so there'll be more access.
What's been surprising to me, well, I've done a lot of projects in the community, and I would say this is the only project where it ventures into the treatment area. Specifically to do with symptoms of mental illness, isolation, PTSD symptoms of re-experiencing. So when we first started these projects, there are a lot of artworks that will trigger veterans, specifically the Gross Clinic or, battle scenes, things like that. And I was very surprised that the art community was very open to adapting what we did to meet the needs of the veterans. They kind of did want to venture into those areas because they felt like they wanted to help, I think. But we had to just tailor what we did with the veterans. So as time progressed, the veterans became more amenable to that. And I know that the folks at the Museum of Art, and this is their term, develop a trust circle. So they really did a lot of work to develop those relationships with our veterans. And our veterans became very, very able to expose their underbellies, if you will. So they became vulnerable, and they became very willing to share their experiences about the art that triggered them. So they were more open to viewing those types of art. There was one particular exhibit there, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's Cy Twombly's 50 Days of the ilium, which is, it doesn't look like anything to me, but I don't have an appreciation for it. It's kind of abstract scribbling on walls, but it's about the Trojan War. And I never would have thought that this would have triggered veterans, but it did. They had an immense reaction to this. I think it's still at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, too, the exhibit. But we had to take that off the tour because many of my veterans really reacted to that. They became triggered, they had symptoms of PTSD, and then within that there's also one of the panels represented a sexual assault. So that was triggering for, a group of female veterans. But over time, they became able to experience these and talk about these feelings that they had related to combat and war. And tomorrow, we're actually going to the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and the veterans have now agreed to do an article with the Philadelphia Museum of Art featuring Horace Pippin's work. So it's one of the paintings is the last day of combat. And so we are going to view that tomorrow after our Art Day tour. And in the subsequent week or so, we will be having a discussion on what that brings up for them and how they feel about it and, just their experience. We've not really gone there before, but that should be really interesting. So I'm surprised that the veterans are able to do that now. So they've all reached a point where they have enough trust in the program itself to expose themselves like that. And it's not just PTSD either. It's other veterans that are in my program. They all don't have PTSD, but many of them have multiple diagnoses, including PTSD, and some just other mental health diagnoses. But we have a supportive community, so we're all there for each other, and it's really wonderful to see, what we've managed to develop in the community with community members. So I'm very surprised about that. Okay.
I tried to give mine away. No one wanted it. So the most surprising thing that I've seen, when you love your children because they're your children, right? Nobody else really likes them until they prove themselves or something of that nature. The person, your soulmate, you love them because you love them. And I fell in love with Tai Chi, and that's just fairly anecdotal. I didn't think that was going to be a big thing. What really shocked me was how much of an impact it had on the veteran community. One of my favorite stories is a veteran who is recovering from addiction and one of the harder things. And he was way overweight and all sorts of medications. He was barely mobile really at times. And now he's a slim 155 pounds. He's working on his master's degree. He's trying to pay it forward in the psychology field. And just recently, I had a veteran from the Midwest reach out to me, and he was in tears and just completely upset and didn't understand why he needed to go on anymore. But he saw one of the videos that we had put out and thought, well, if this guy can do this, maybe I can. And we had a great chat, and we talk weekly now just to check in and give him little tasks to do and someone to be accountable for and all that. And I never thought this anecdotal thing would be so just inundating inside so many people. And that is, again, been extremely humbling, but also been incredibly rewarding from the standpoint of, we're actually making a big difference up here. And it's not just us. These things work. So, that's been the big surprising thing overall. Absolutely.
My last year of service was 2014. And when I first started going to the VA to get help or whatnot, I kind of felt, I felt a little alone. I felt like people kind of just push stuff at you and send you about your way or whatnot. I think the biggest surprise to me, honestly, as someone who receives treatment and all, as a veteran, is just that to sit in a room where you see in your lifetime where so many different techniques and advances are being made to make your life better. And even in the context of, you know, going in the direction of art, going in the direction of, you know, pets and animals and horses even, it's kind of mind-blowing in a way. You know, it's kind of mind-blowing in a way. Even to see in a sentence like, you know, partnering with your doctor, because normally your doctor talks at you and not to you. And most people here will probably be like, well, that's not my experience, but it kind of feels that way coming out of the military, realizing, hey, I need help. And we're used to just going and doing what we're told, going where you're told to go. If a doctor says this is no questions asked, and, you know, they say you have diabetes, okay, well, is it hyper or hypo, but you never really ask a question and no one really explains a lot of stuff to you. So it's really surprising to me to see the changes that are going on, the strides that people are trying to make, and the new techniques that people are employing, different organizations and universities and things, and really taking a large interest, because a lot of times you feel alone, and it's a lot of people who probably don't see all of these strings being pulled, and they don't see, you know, a lot of things that are coming about. But once one person knows, you know, everyone kind of passes along. And like the veteran community, if you receive benefit from something and you find out how well it worked out for you, you calling people and tell them like, hey, you got to try this. And that's kind of the way it gets around, because a lot of people don't always reach out for help or think that what's going on is really beneficial to you, or you pretty much think everything is how it is, and that's just how it's going to be. So it's nice to see things changing, and so many people that care to make that happen.
I think for me, well, first of all, I'm excited and that the Adaptive Sports Grant as and Gala is now in second year recipient. So all of the veterans that come through our program, the sessions are at no charge, and that's for the veterans, their families, so group therapy, individual, family, spouse. So that's wonderful. I was really surprised that, because Gala was a little bit out of the kind of realm of the Adaptive Sports Grant, that they really fought for it, and I'm able to tap into that funding as well. I think when I initially read this, I think the biggest surprise for the equine therapy model that we use, everyone thinks I'm just a horse lady. And part of me is a little like, meh, in the fact that, you know, I have, you know, I'm a licensed professional counselor, board certified, you know, I worked really hard for all these letters behind my name. And everyone's like, oh, you're the horse lady. I am a horse lady as well, I must say. But I think in a way, so that surprised me, I think, at first. I have to chuckle about it now. But I think in a way, it's just less intimidating. You know, I'm not coming in with my card and like, here I am, and I'm this therapist, and, you know, it's about the process and the animals, and there's an equine professional with you, because it's a team approach, having very large animals in the arena, or little ones, as you saw in the film. But that really surprised me, and I think it just allows for just a more natural setting, and there's just more opening and processing, and it's just not so like, so how do you feel about that? So.
Okay, next question. Are there any misconceptions about your work? And if so, how are you managing to raise awareness and educate those you serve and the public? Nicole, can we start with you, please? Misconceptions.
Misconceptions about documentary work or working with veterans?
About your work, the film, your process, perhaps, of how you come
Okay.
script all this stuff out and what people's reactions are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess with documentary work, people don't realize what it takes to actually make a film and how many people need to be involved. Reaching out to these nonprofits was obviously a process. Finding Joe was a process. You know, I didn't just leave my house with a camera and just run. So it's a very lengthy process. I had a certain vision for the film, And to communicate that to my collaborators was obviously a challenge as well. Once we're all on that same page, obviously the film came out amazingly. But yes, in terms of planning a documentary, it's obviously it's a large task. But I was obviously wanted to do this so much because of my personal experience and so forth. So it had to be done. It was on my heart. It was my vision. And even before I even started in film or even radio broadcasting, it was always on my heart to tell those stories of triumph over challenge. I didn't want to just tell a story about a fire. Well, it's important, but I really wanted to tell that story, from start to finish. And it took a full-length documentary to do this. And then in terms of misconceptions, working with veterans at Haven Women, I only worked there for a couple of months, but I guess being in the military community for 20 years, and then now the veteran community, the common misconception is that some veterans feel they're entitled, and why do they get this amount of money per month? They seem fine. And that, to me, was very surprising. I'm not a veteran, but explaining that and communicating that to certain populations was a challenge, especially in the civilian community. But through this film, it helps them understand more. When we first came back to the Northeast, my first experience was people didn't really understand why did they join the Army or Marines, why did they join the military. There were so many other options, and I'm like, no, I mean, the stereotypes, completely were erased in my mind in terms of why someone joins the military. And so, that was a challenge too in communicating that. Again, film is such a powerful vehicle to make sure people understand. So, definitely coming through this experience and having these screenings, university screenings and different film festivals, going into that artsy kind of community, they are starting to understand more. So trying to destigmatize that stereotype.
I have to say, in the Philadelphia community, I haven't really experienced misconceptions about my veterans, even though, I certainly present us as a treatment program, and this is psychosocial rehabilitation. I don't experience any bias at all. In fact, they're very welcoming, and this is the Philadelphia area. The misconceptions, I would say, come from the veterans end of it. They feel because they have a diagnosis, they have limitations. So it happens that they undergo really significant transformation after taking part in many of these types of programs, and they overcome their own self-limitations because of the label of a diagnosis. So I haven't experienced it from the general public. In my personal life, I have. People think I walk on water because, oh, you have such a hard job, dealing with these people. And they're, no, I have the best job at the VA. I have tons of fun all day long. So, I have to correct those kinds of misconceptions and educate people. People with mental illness are just like you and I. We all have challenges. And it's complicated by the fact that they served. So that's more of a challenge for them. But, you wouldn't be able to pick them out of a crowd and say, there's a veteran with serious mental illness. So I have to educate my personal acquaintances, but I haven't experienced it in the Philadelphia community at all. If anything, they've been very welcoming and accommodating, and they just have such a commitment to helping veterans that it's truly a pleasure to go to work every day.
Wow, yeah, we deal with a lot of misconceptions in Tai Chi. First, it's not exercise. Right. All right. So there's that one. The second is Tai Chi. It's woo-woo, it's hooey, it's a bunch of New Age nonsense. But with the backing support of Harvard Medical, the NIH, the Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, all their studies on Tai Chi show that it helps with strength, balance, stress reduction, flexibility, mobility, that moving meditation. In fact, Harvard called it medication in motion. So it's getting over those preconceptions of the flower children of the 70s and bringing it more into a scientific, almost skeptic frame of mind here in the 21st century. The other misconception that I have run into is on the veteran side. And it's the idea, and I understand this one because we live in a country that lionizes its veterans. We have Veteran Day, we have veterans discounts, everything, thank you for your service. And it's almost as if the veteran never gets an opportunity to just move on, right? They never get a chance to let go. Because there are, admittedly, advantages to being a veteran, but at the same time, if you are kind of stuck in something that you did back in your 20s, and you're now in your 70s, that's really shackling, and it's almost imprisoning. You're not allowed to be yourself. And one of the things I deal with a lot of my students is getting them to understand that it's okay to let go. It's okay to let go of the past to move on into the future. And I had a veteran who asked me, but if I give this up, if I give up who I am as a vet, if I kind of let go of the mourning, of the grief, of the pain, what does that mean? What does that mean for me? Who am I going forward? And crazy enough, the answer that came to me, it was the answer that I received when I asked the same thing, was free to be whatever you want. There is life after service, and you don't have to be tied down to the uniform and your DD-214. Sure, it's fun to go to the American Legion and the VFW and have a couple of beers and exchange war stories, but when you walk out into life, you can just be you. You can be whatever you want. And so those are the two major misconceptions that I think we have in my neck of the woods. Do something about this microphone situation.
I'm not giving my microphone up.
Oh, it's too late. That's right.
Well, I would think that working with the Warrior Writers organization, which you can check out at warriorwriters.org, I think the biggest misconception is that when you come out to hear what we write or what we work on, it's all about, bombs, bullets, bad guys, PTSD, and things of that nature. But I think sometimes with the label of veteran, people honestly do forget that you're a person. So guess what? I fall in love, and I have arguments, and I have children who love me, and all girls, by the way. So I don't always understand them. They don't always understand me. So a veteran is not who I am. It's just it's a form of a title of who, what I did, and not exactly who I am. And so I think that that's one of the biggest misconceptions, and that is why I feel with the Warrior Writers, it is important to have, that narrative so people can see, other sides of who you are, because the same things that I go through is the same things that everybody else go through. You stub your toe, you're mad. You might say one thing, I might say something else, but we all gonna say something, We all have our different forms of trauma. I do believe personally that somehow or another, living in the world that we live in, we all have some form of mental illness somewhere. We might not label it, you might laugh it off, oh, that's just Uncle Jim, that's just what he does, and we accept that. But because you carry a label of what you did in life, that's who you'll always be in most people's eyes. So you always have to fight against the misconception and the narrative that was created around the group of people or the classification of who you were and what you did.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I'm fortunate that I don't bill insurance, so I don't have to label so much, which is awesome. Then I don't have to deal with insurance companies either. But I think the biggest thing with equine therapy is everyone's like, oh, I want to ride. I want to, you know, it's, so they connect it with hippotherapy or therapeutic riding, which is more physical-based for physical disabilities. And I say, you know, we're not the rainbows and unicorns. We deal with some pretty dark things, and the horses are, and being a herd animal, they connect with humans on a level that we'll never understand, and it's just phenomenal. And the way I go around that is it just gives me a foot in the door of like, oh, okay, so you're like so-and-so, or oh, I want to ride the horse. And it just gives me the opportunity to say, well, hold on a second, we do something a little bit different, but this is how we use it, and this is how we help people.
Okay, last question. What is the best way to support your organization's work, or how can folks contact you to make referrals? Felicia, can we start with you, please?
I can say that my program really is a treatment program. So it's psychosocial rehabilitation, which is a service at the VA. So it really is not open to referral. We can take referrals from veterans who are connected to the VA, but they really do need to be connected first before they would be eligible to join my program, and then they can be referred in by another provider who, you know, thinks that they may benefit from psychosocial rehabilitation, and enhanced connection to their community, to work on meaningful goals, to improve their wellness, you know, and reach out into different areas of their life and achieve any kind of goal they really want to. But it should be a referral process, and it can be a self-referral by a veteran. But there is a criteria that has to be met, and I mentioned a serious mental illness, so they have to have one of those diagnoses. There's exceptions to every rule, of course, but that's generally the criteria. So supporting this program, I would say generally you could just be open to any, if I come knocking on your door or anyone else comes to your door and is a veteran and has an idea to do a project, be open, because we've had wonderful responses in the Philadelphia community with veterans who have had holistic health goals to improve their lives. We've done things like a great mural at 38th and Curie Boulevard, if you want to go look at that. It's called American Tableau. It's wonderful. We've had cooking classes at the Free Library of Philadelphia, the Culinary Literacy Center. We've had language classes at the University of Pennsylvania, an Italian Culture Club, and Spanish, too. We've had computer classes and teaching veterans to teach computer classes. This is way back when we actually did that up at Liberty Resources, and then the hotspots for the library throughout. We have many, many connections and many different projects, and it all goes back to one veteran's goal. So if someone asked you if you could possibly be open to a program, consider it. Thank you.
I'm going to sound like such a millennial right now. So follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. But yeah, seriously, follow us on Facebook, Tai Chi with Marcus, as well as on Twitter. We also have a Patreon page where we're student supported as well as donor supported to bring a lot more funding to veterans that don't necessarily qualify for some of the programs through the VA, but we like to bring everybody in at the same time. But the biggest thing through liking, sharing, subscribing, and all that is really just getting the word out. And you like something, you share it. You never know who's going to see it in their feed or how that's going to impact people. Like I said, you know, getting these random calls throughout the country. I didn't know this person at all, and now, you know, we're kind of linked for a while. While he pulls himself back together. So yeah, we have all of our information at our table in a nice edible bites for you guys. And yeah, that would be the way to support us.
For Equiteam, we have our website, and I'm not as millennial. I just have a Facebook page that I need to spend more time on. But we do, our website, it has all of the information from the referral process. Emails go directly to me, and then I kind of ferry them out from there with my staff. And you can make donations through the website as well. Having lots of horses on on a farm is pretty expensive, so we need to be there 24/7 and take good care of them, and so we always appreciate all the support we can get.
If you want to support warriorwriters.org, you can just go to warriorwriters.org, and I guess you can donate, or even come out and show up to the events that we have. Show your support and your presence. And I just wanted to add on to one other thing. All them people that think we get paid a lot of money, we don't get paid a lot of money. You get some money, but it's definitely not a lot. You ain't gonna raise like 5 kids and a horse on it, that's for sure.
You get paid?
Yeah, I get paid no mind. Very little.
Thanks. I'm going to actually go back to the misconceptions question because I didn't get to answer that one, and I'll just slide right into this second question about support. So looping back to what you said, Ellie, a common misconception about the creative arts therapies is that we're recreation. Or distraction, and that's not true. We're trained mental health clinicians, and part of holistic healthcare in that way. But I do want to identify that this is really understood as a spectrum, and that arts participation, like what you're describing, is part of that spectrum. Participating in the arts is something anybody can do as part of living a healthy life, and can be very important for anyone, including veterans who are, just looking to manage stress, et cetera. But it is a common misperception that that's what we do, and that the music lady comes in, and we really are part of the treatment team. So I just wanted to identify that. How can you support us? We're really here to support veterans, and we want to be able to do that. So more opportunities for building creative arts therapies into treatment programs. We would love to partner with our colleagues at the VA here in Philadelphia to bring creative arts therapies to your folks. We'd love to join with you in developing that. There are some creative arts therapy services at some of the vet service centers in the greater Philadelphia area, and also at a couple of the VAs in the greater area. So again, for that, people would need to be hooked in to those centers and services. I think that's it. And is that right?
www.haven.org for Haven Women. I do believe we get referrals from the VA. But if you know a veteran in need, definitely have them call us. I can give you my business card. And then for the documentary, we're just trying to spread awareness, and we do accept donations as well. So that's thejourneybacktonormal.com. The ultimate goal is to make it available digitally. So I'm looking for a distributor, and then you'll be able to view it on a Roku, Amazon Prime, etc. So.
Great, thank you. In the interest of time, you can ask questions or relate to each of the panelists at the reception, which is after our closing remarks. Can we give a hand to our wonderful panelists, please? Thank you all. Thank you all very much. Lastly on our agenda, I have the honor to introduce Carlo Aragoncillo, Director of Veteran Services, City of Philadelphia. I'll read his bio. On 3 November 2017, Carlo Aragoncillo was announced as the Director of Veterans Affairs for the City of Philadelphia. The son of a serviceman, Mr. Aragoncillo was born on a Marine Corps base in Yokohama, Japan. At the age of 3, he relocated with his family to the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. I was commissioned at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. Ken, were you commissioned at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard? Mine too, yeah. That's right. Mr. Aragoncillo earned a Bachelor's of Arts from Fairleigh Dickinson University in New Jersey in 2007, and a Master of Arts in Criminal Justice at Rutgers University in 2010. He joined the U.S. Army in 2011 and went on to serve in Iraq and elsewhere in the Middle East, as well as in response to Hurricane Sandy. He was recently appointed Commander for Bravo Company, 92nd Expeditionary Signal Battalion, and he will continue to serve as a First Lieutenant in the United States Army Reserves. Among the recognitions he has earned are the Meritorious Service Medal, the Inherent Resolve Campaign Medal, and the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal. As a central point of contact, Carlo's works to streamline delivery of resources for the diverse population of veterans within the city of Philadelphia. Since becoming director, Carlo has also focused his office on advocating for policy and legislation that directly affect veterans within Philadelphia. Carlo lives with his wife Shelley in South Philly. It is an honor to have Carlo here with us today. Would you please welcome Carlo?
Thank you, Ralph, for the warm introduction. And thank you, Rebecca, for the invitation. And then also to the Drexel leadership here. So I was texting Rebecca on the way, say, hey, I'm in the lift, I'm on the way over. And I didn't realize why she was not responding. It's because we were doing Tai Chi. So thank you, Marcus. And I also thank my wife for not being here, because I am terrible at doing anything instructional, line dances, etc. So thank you. So just a show of hands, or if you can hoot and holler. How many Coast Guard do we have in the room, if any? That's usually the toughest one, so I start with that. You Coast Guard as well? Roger that, sir. Serving 2 duties, I got you. Air Force, anybody? Got 1, 2? All right. We got any Navy in-house? All right, we got a few. Now, usually this is the biggest draw. We got any Army? I'm Army. All right, and last but not least, Marine Corps. Anybody? It's all right, I won't hold it against you 3. So, but so I was invited here. Again, I'm kind of just step away from the podium a little bit. As Director of Veterans Affairs for the City of Philadelphia, it's a unique position. A lot of people kind of confuse it, misconstrue it with the Department of Veterans Affairs. And we have built a good relationship with the medical center down the road. But the way the office works, the way it worked when they literally handed me the key to the city, they said, here you go, take care of veterans. I said, all right, and then what? I came back home from Iraq in 2017. I didn't know what I was coming back home to. And I realized if I felt this way, it was really about the community and building that community and building the awareness around it. So that was my main focus and my intention from 2017 on through today, is to build awareness around what you all are doing. Not so much the office, not so much me, not city council, not the mayor, but what everyone here is doing to support veterans and the families. So in the military, they tell us that we are stewards of our profession. I noticed here at Drexel University, an academic institution, not only were we stewards of profession, but also stewards of leadership. We build leaders here. Drexel builds leaders here. And that's something not to take lightly. So I recently came away from an event about a month ago. I had the opportunity to represent the city of Philadelphia over at the George W. Bush Institute down in Dallas, Texas. Mentioned to President Bush and his staff, told them all the good things that are happening here, and he included Drexel as well. So be proud of what you're doing here. I'm here to build awareness, not just on the issues, but turning those issues into opportunities. Highlighting the successes and the great things that we're doing as veterans and family members and caregivers. So I'll leave you with this. Before I go on to the citation portion, because I do have something to present to you, Rebecca, just wanted to say thank you, Drexel, the staff here. Again, be proud of what you're doing. You know, you're setting the mark and leading the way as a shining example for the community, not just at the local level, not just at the state, but also nationally, and people are paying attention. Seriously, all eyes are on Philadelphia right now. I'll read through the citation very briefly, just because it's a mouthful. By honoring and recognizing Drexel University, the Council of the City of Philadelphia is pleased and proud to join the Philadelphia Office of Veterans Affairs in honoring and recognizing Drexel University's commitment and dedication to supporting the City of Philadelphia's military and veteran community on the occasion of their 10th anniversary as a post-9/11 GI Bill Yellow Ribbon academic institution. Whereas Drexel University has had a steadfast history of delivering high-quality Reserve Officer Training Corps since its inception on the 10th day of October 1918, then known as Student Army Training Corps. And whereas Drexel University has hosted the Yellow Ribbon program since 2009, demonstrating an enormous commitment to the education of United States veterans and their dependents. And whereas the University Veterans Task Force, comprised of faculty and professional staff from nearly all departments, collectively work to ensure high-quality service to all military-connected students, and whereas the university offers additional educational resources and support through the Military Transition Program at Goodwin College of Professional Studies. And whereas the Steinbright Career Development Center delivers tailored career services and cooperative educational resources to help student veterans leverage their military careers and transition to the civilian workforce. And whereas Drexel University Office of Veteran Student Services has demonstrated a commitment to actively collaborating with the City of Philadelphia and regional veteran service organizations to build community and additional resources for military-connected students, faculty, professional staff, and alumni. And whereas the university has been consistently ranked as a top military-friendly school by major news sources for nearly a decade, military-connected students, faculty, professional staff, and alumni actively collaborate to leverage their networks and support each other. Therefore, by virtue of this citation, the Council of the City of Philadelphia does hereby honor and recognize Drexel University on their unwavering commitment to the City of Philadelphia's military and veteran community across all branches, including the United States Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Coast Guard. We commend Drexel University on this momentous achievement of 10 years as a post-9/11 GI Bill Yellow Ribbon academic institution, and extend the sincere respect, admiration, and appreciation of this legislative body. Congratulations. Signed, Council President Darrell Clark. Thank you. Can you come up?
But this is so beautiful, and what an honor and privilege to work with you. On behalf of Drexel University and all of my colleagues, thank you so much for being a great leader for all of us in this region.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. This is beautiful. Yeah. So in closing, I just wanted to invite the team, the planning team up, Fern, Becky, and Ralph. This has been an amazing afternoon. What a luxury for us to be able to bring this group together. They are an incredibly committed group of colleagues here in the city, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell you they really helped make this happen. So thank you to Drexel University, of course, for hosting us here, but thank you, the VA and University of Pennsylvania, and all of our participants today for being such an important part of a beautiful, meaningful, important afternoon. So I would invite everyone now to join us out in the lobby and enjoy some networking and some healthy snacks and have a safe trip home.